Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, and this is yet another special episode in between our regular episode because we again have two very special guests. We have Zoe AnDyke and Dustin Keegan. Now, you might know these people from not quite the dynamic discs world, but guess what? Now they are part of the family, and we are so super excited. But first, before we get into all that, how are you doing this morning, Zoe and Dustin?
Excellent.
Doing wonderful.
Feeling good.
Yeah. What do you think? Were you digging this Emporia weather? Of course, where are you guys where's kind of base for you guys?
Eugene, Oregon for both of us, actually.
Oh, okay. So this cold weather probably isn't much of a big deal to you guys, huh?
No, feels pretty at home, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Feels good.
I bet it does.
It's nice it's not raining.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I mentioned before, you guys are now part of Team Dynamic Discs, part of the Dynamic Discs family. And I couldn't be more excited for what the future holds because, you know, I try to pay attention to what's going on in the disc golf world, and I see what you guys do with your clinics and the school program and stuff like that. And I'm so super excited to be part of that. But before we get into that, I want to let people get to know a little bit about you. So we'll start with you, Zoe. Tell us really quick, kind of like the 2-minute elevator pitch of your start, how you discovered disc golf to how you got to right now.
Oh, awesome. It's a fun story to share, actually. I am now 34, so I picked up a disc when I was 21, and I thought it was just a fun kind of secret backyard game, and I was going to college at Eastern Oregon University, my hometown, La Grande, Oregon, and I just thought it was like a cool group of my friends playing with Frisbees, and nobody else knew what this was. So shortly after that, moved to Bend, Oregon, and I saw my first basket at Central Oregon Community College. I was like, what is that? Elk feeder? Deer feeder? Oh, that is the target for me to throw into? And then my world changed. I found out about organized tournaments and that a girl could throw a disc further than 100 feet, which is about what I was doing. And everything changed for me. I mean, I'm an athlete from swimming, volleyball, track, snowboarding, and then just, you know, being a gamer and competitive person myself. I just knew that disc golf was the whole next level for me, and I wanted to be good at it.
That's very cool. I like that. What about you, Dustin?
Pretty similar. I discovered disc golf in 2006, so this is my 12th year coming up, but I signed up in 2008 for tournaments, so the first 2 years I knew what disc golf was. I had no idea people even competed in tournaments. I didn't know anything besides my local 9-hole course that I played. And one of my friends just came over to my house one day and was like, hey, I'm going to a tournament this weekend. You want to come? I was like, whoa, people compete. And he took me. I played intermediate, and I could throw way farther than everybody in intermediate. And they were like, whoa, what are you doing? I was like, I didn't know. This is my first event.
Sorry for being good.
So I played one intermediate event and then played maybe 6 or 7 AM events, and I won my local tournament. So I moved up to pro and just started training and playing more and more and getting better and better. And then in 2013, 14, I started touring, and then actually got a bid to the USDGC at Worlds in Portland in 2014.
Yeah.
And got 9th place at US, my first time there, which got me sponsored, and then so on and so forth. And
that's quite a ride there.
Yeah, quick ride.
So that's something that's kind of a theme sometimes that we get with our questions is the whole advancing from I just discovered what disc golf is to now I'm moving to intermediate, now I'm advanced. When do I get to be a pro and stuff like that? Zoe, tell us now when you started. I'm assuming you probably played more in the amateur level and stuff like that, and then decided to move up to pro. What was the switch that said, okay, time to move up to play the pro division?
Well, my very first tournament, actually, I signed up for advanced women.
Okay.
And there were only 4 there. I placed 4th, and I was like, okay, I must be in the right area.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout that first year of playing tournaments, I had 2 wins, and I was like, okay, when do I move up to pro?
Yeah.
So there's a short break in my life where I moved from Bend, Oregon up to Anchorage, Alaska, 2009 to 2011. And I was doing adventure jobs, fun things, and part of the Alaska Disc Golf Association, Well, when I moved home, I said, I'm gonna play one more advanced tournament and see where I'm at. I really want to move up to pro. I'm ready. Came home, played the Fort Chili Smack Open.
Wow.
It was a chili cook-off as well. And I won that tournament. And I knew that the Memorial in 2012, because that was the end of 2011, October, I knew that the Memorial was going to be my first big event, my first pro event and everything. And that's when it started. So I really only had a handful of AM wins.
Right.
If I were to go back or to give coaching on when to move up, I would say get comfortable with winning. Don't just win once or twice. Make sure you move around. You do some short travel within your state or within your kind of eastern states, western states, whatever's close to you. Make sure you try your talent at different courses. That's a really big one. If you're shooting under par or even par at your local course, you really need to challenge yourself to try other places, and then remember that there are so many more shots in the book. And then when you've got a few more things in the bag, that's when you're ready to move up. Or in my opinion, that's when it's time, because you've learned how to win and you're comfortable and you're starting to step out of your comfort zone to learn more. There's always more.
That's always something that I touch base on when people ask about moving up, and they're like, man, when I go play my local course, I tear it up. I'm like, well, whoa. That's great, but wait, you got to try some other courses, because there's some other tricks and things that you got to learn to navigate through the course. When I played my course back in Bartlesville at Sooner Park, I was getting pretty good, but there was that comfortableness. I know going up to hole 12 what disc I was going to throw, because that's the one that always. But then when you go to a brand new course, it's like, oh wait, I got to know the wind. I got to pay attention to the trees and stuff like that. So anyway.
So many elements
you got to pay attention to. So was it kind of the same for you, Dustin? You just noticed that you were winning, and you're like, man, I need to just kind of up the level of challenge for me?
Kind of. I really wasn't winning. I won one amateur event.
Okay.
And all the people who showed me what disc golf was, and all the people in Eugene that played disc golf with me were all like top level pros. Dave Felberg and Avery were living there at the time, going to U of O. And like all the people teaching me were like playing pro. So I finally won an AM event, and I was like, well, now I would get to play with all my friends. So I'm moving up, and honestly, what Zoe said is super important. That's kind of looking back on my career. I kind of wish I would have played a little bit more just to learn how to win.
Yeah.
But I moved up to pro, dropped 20 rating points instantly, just because it's a totally different game. You're going from maybe top 4 as a good AM to bottom pack of pro. So it's like, okay, this is a new game. I got to relearn it kind of. But luckily I had a strong support group and a lot of determination to just keep trying and get.
And to be at the bottom of the pack in the very beginning, wouldn't you agree, Dustin, is like, it's a little self-defeating. It almost regresses your confidence or just your feeling and your confidence on the course. So the learning how to win, just to touch on that real quick, is it's not like you got to have 50 wins or 10 wins. It's really your comfort and your confidence becomes your muscle memory.
I get that. All right, so we're going to get to know you guys a little bit more, because I know there's a lot more to what you guys do than just playing disc golf. But first, let's get to the heart of disc golf answer man, and that is some questions. Are you guys ready to answer some questions for our listeners?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I thought I was queued up, but I was not. Oh, here we go. This one is from Alex. I'm mostly a forehand player, and I've recently moved from Indiana to Florida, and my previous home course was both backhand and forehand friendly. And now my new home course is mostly backhand friendly. So my question is, how do you play/attack a course when you know that your game isn't quite suited to the course, but you still want to be competitive? Wow, that kind of segue what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you guys have for him?
I would commit everything you have to that backhand. Like, your strength is a sidearm. You don't need to go attack a backhand course with a sidearm because that's your strength. Sure, you can score better and you might be competitive in a tournament instantly, but for the long run, you're going to be better off trusting yourself and throwing a backhand hyzer on a backhand hyzer hole instead of trying to work a flex Annie sidearm that's way harder of a shot. So just commit to learning the backhand. It sounded like Alex through backhand, through sidearm. So
Mhm.
he knows how to throw a backhand. So just commit to it and trust it.
Okay.
And
I agree with that too. For any of you that are dominant with one certain type of shot and then it requires the other, remember we get to play casual rounds and practice, and we're, no one's really watching you during your practice round. You're not taking score, you're not turning it in. So definitely know that you already have that strength, and allow yourself to throw at 80% slow discs first, flat and straight, putters and mids, and then move up to drivers. It's defeating if you're trying to blast something at 110% full max speed. You're going to have a lot of room for error and a lot of room for mentally not wanting to be tough through that. So throw slower speed discs, flat, straight, and work from there. Controlled games so that you can actually beat yourself faster and faster. There's a lot of kind of self gratification, or like, I guess I try to impress myself on the course. So if you can throw a mid or a putter straight up your fairway a couple of rounds in a row, and then you can move up to a controlled driver or a fast speed driver, you're going to beat yourself right away. It's a very good feeling to impress yourself.
Awesome. All right, next one comes from James. My go-to distance driver tends to be money when there is no wind, but in a moderate to strong headwind, it flips over pretty quickly, and I just can't trust it. Should I have a driver/mold dedicated to headwinds only, or should I in general switch my go-to driver to something more stable and just try to beat a couple in to where they become bombers rather than overstable?
Ooh, I'm going to start on this one.
Mhm.
I love this question. I love playing in the wind. So, with whatever your distance driver, your money go-to disc is, buy 5 of them or 10. And if you could get a more stable version, so heavier, or if you're already throwing max weight, just I guess a brand new one. Now, if it is an understable disc, I'd say go ahead and grab a couple of more stable disc molds by whatever manufacturer you like DD Defenders. I would go with, definitely, they've got a more stable finish, and they're meant to be kind of a meat hook if you get the max weight, the right plastic. So don't deviate from your money driver too much. If you can get a higher weight and a newer version of it, it'll be more stable. But if it is an understable disc, make sure you're grabbing something with more stable numbers. And remember that that's not going to be your new money driver. It's your headwind distance driver. You're going to have a couple molds, so make sure the speed is relatively close to the same, and that just the stability or the weight varies to being more stable. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree completely with all of that. I would also say, if you just can't get away from that money driver, we all have the one disc that we just love, no matter what, no matter the headwind, we think we can work it. Trust a little bit more Hyzer in the headwind. Just commit to a little bit more of a spike angle of release, and it will stand up. It's not going to roll over if it's your money bomber. So I agree completely. Don't switch molds. Don't confuse your hand. Just get a more stable one, potentially, if there's a lot of OB and you need it to go left or like spike in the middle. But if you want to throw your money and you have room to throw it, just trust a little bit more Hyzer.
Awesome. I know from my experience, like for my arm speed, you wouldn't think I would need a Defender or like a Biofusion Enforcer in my bag, but I do for those super heavy windy days.
Mhm.
And when it's just a little bit of a wind, I kind of do what you're mentioned, Dustin, is I'll tilt the angle of it just a little bit, or sometimes like my Renegade I have a Fusion Renegade and a Lucid Renegade. If I need it to be a little more stable, I grab that Lucid Renegade just in a little bit of wind. But if that wind is really blowing hard, then I grab that Defender that hardly ever sees the light of day, and I pull it out, and I'm like, yeah, it makes a difference to stability when there's a headwind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. All right, next one comes from another Alex. So after a couple of bad rounds, you start to lose confidence in your favorite disc, the one that you throw the most. How do you gain that confidence back?
I can start here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I can relate with this experience from earlier days in the pro field. I wanted to blame it on the discs or the putters, the drivers or putters. But what you need to do is you need to go back to your home course or your practice field, and you need to throw reps, because it's not the disc. It's the belief in the disc. And remember that you are the best putter in the world, and you are the best driver in the world when you're throwing it, because we all are. If no one else is around, you're certainly the best. And then if other people are around that might throw better, you can still tell yourself you're the best. So it just takes more reps, and you have to see yourself execute it to believe in yourself again. It's operator error at that point. It's not the disc error. And so you got to build your own confidence by seeing yourself throw reps, I think.
Yes. Also, I completely agree with that. But if the disc is starting to roll on you and you release it on that perfect angle that you've watched it fly perfectly for, a year or so, and it starts to turn, it starts to do something different, maybe you should get a new one. They do have a lifespan. They do break in. I see a lot of people keep throwing the beat up something where you're like, why don't you just get a new one? Like you're complaining that it's not hyzering out.
Right.
Just try a new one. But I completely agree with Zoe. It's mostly inside your head. You watch yourself hit a couple trees. It's not the disc fault. Just get back to your timing, get back to your form.
And even in that, it's, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking that, because I can think of Eric Oakley, who has maybe 5 felons in his bag, because he understands that, like you said, Dustin, I mean, it's plastic, so it's going to beat in. It's going to perform a little bit different. It's hit trees, it's hit ground, it's whatever. But it doesn't mean you got to throw away that disc. It maybe just now that disc flips a little bit more than, say, a brand new felon. So then maybe it's time, like you said, get a brand new felon and know that felon does that. And then you have your beat-in felon that might not, turn as hard. So, yes, I guess my thinking is it is a little bit of the disc because it changes, but it's not, because you've got to make sure you pay attention to your form as well.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In golf, it's hard not to think that we all need to be perfect every shot, every time, every throw. Bad breaks and mistakes do happen. If you hit a tree, you might have been 1 inch off of your best throw ever.
Yeah.
So remember that.
And even that, even thinking in that's part of what makes you a better player, is that when you have that, quote, bad break, okay, it wasn't a good throw. It wasn't a bad break. It was just not a good throw. Now what do? Now what? How do you get yourself out of that trouble spot? How do you get yourself back onto the fairway? And even that is part of the competitiveness, and that's what part of the game makes you a winner or a loser, I guess you could say.
True.
Exactly.
So we're going to take a break from the questions. So tell us a little bit more about, we talked about at the beginning, this stuff you like to go into schools and teach kids and things like that. Unpack that for us. Let us know a little bit more what that's all about.
Okay. Well, so my background previous to disc golf, I was a PE teacher and an activities coordinator for 4 years for a high school girls boarding school. So my background just comes from coaching and teaching. Even previous to that first professional job, I've been coaching since I was in high school, younger kids all the way through, from camps to helping out, and then to being my varsity high school swim coach for a while. I just kind of moved into those positions naturally. But after getting into disc golf and touring, I was really missing a big link of my professional life. I'm certain that I was put on this earth to teach and coach sports. And here I am obsessing and, submerging into the sport of disc golf. And the first couple of years on the road, Dustin and I teamed up in 2013. I would ask him, hey, wherever we stop, would you mind teaching a free clinic with me? And it started there, just at disc golf events. And it still wasn't enough for me. I needed more. I needed more professionalism and more ways to be an ambassador. I think I kind of thrive, or I feel like I am successful the more lives I can touch and the more people I can teach. It's kind of about that single or double fist pump or a kid's smile. And that's what gets me going. And so this year, 2017, was a really special pilot year and kickoff year for a nonprofit organization that I started. Dustin was my backbone and my biggest support. But basically what we did, we reached almost 7,000 children this year from kindergarten to 12th grade, all over the state of Oregon and one school in Southern California. And we inserted our disc golf basics curriculum into their PE programs. And we were able to reach, all those kids at many different levels. And of course, the curriculum is much less when you're at the kindergarten, first, second, third grade level versus high school level. But we'll take it into schools. we grant it to the schools for free, and we find other fundraising opportunities to help ourselves with expenses, which is, again, why I started the nonprofit, if you think about that cycle. And we're able to even bring college kids in to help them learn how to teach, make them better at disc golf, learn the skills. So it's all inclusive with like the age range. And then, for this upcoming year, the fact that we reached almost 7,000 without really a plan. We just knew we needed to get into some schools and we needed to teach. Now we have goals. We have a projected schedule for 2018. I'd like to more than double that number. I think that'll be very, very doable. And then to be able to do it on the tour this way, instead of just teaching clinics at events, being able to go into the local schools on tour is really important. So like, for instance, the national tour is in 6 different states. I'd like to have all 6 of those at the end of 2018 on our teaching resume.
Nice.
And I'd like to see how many students actually make it to the events, because we're working with these kids. Sometimes the weather is ice, rain, snow, you name it. And the PE teacher's calling me and saying, hey, are you still coming today? I'm like, yes, we can do it all in the gym. I just have to teach the kids how to use their imagination when we're driving. So, I kind of went from 0 to like 10,000 there in describing it, but teaching and providing the real information, actually we're trying to correct a lot of things from, one, kids being more healthier, less screen time. Another option, financially, their parents are stoked. The teachers and the schools are stoked because disc golf doesn't cost a ton of money to get into. It's one initial cost and then you can play. 2, I think there's a lot of maybe incorrect form that people have started with, or, with disc golf being, 50 years old, maybe a little more, not a lot of technology and information is out, and we're at a time period where it really is, and we're all changing our form and studying the best. And I just want kids to be able to start with correct form. And so that was a whole nother thing, is teaching them 4 commands per putt, per backhand, per sidearm, 4 things that absolutely keep them posture, line, and balance oriented. So simply will help them for the rest of their lives. So that's a huge thing. And then the other thing is, when you're in schools, you're with an audience that doesn't know about disc golf. So it wasn't fulfilling enough to just be at tournaments teaching disc golfers about disc golf for me. I wanted new, I wanted fresh, I wanted children to be able to go home and teach their families, because we could reach so much more quickly.
Yeah.
And that's
awesome.
the dream. Yeah.
So yeah, I know when I work with kids before, I don't do a lot, but when I first started and wasn't working at DD though, back in Bartlesville, they had me go to some Cub Scout stuff and teach kids. And when the kids got it, when they thought, what I always thought was funny is I would throw it, and I am by no means a distance thrower, but the kids were like, "Whoa, look how far he throws!" Oh, yeah. So I always thought it was cool. So Dustin, what is it like when you see the eyes light up and they just kind of get it when they make that first putt or that first throw?
It's the best part.
Yeah,
like by 10 times, it's the best part. Like we'll teach all day long, and then like do a couple showcase and just throw it as far as you can. And just the oohs and ahs, and their minds are being blown. I know Zoe and I were both huge into PE growing up, so like being a disc golfer, we were like, man, if I would have had disc golf in my PE classes growing up, like I would have been so into it. I didn't even know what it was until I was out of high school into college. Yeah. So having it, I had those same feelings when I watched like my basketball idols play or whoever was teaching me PE do something amazing. I was like, wow. And it makes you a better disc golfer teaching. You like break it down more in your mind, just speaking it out loud. And, you try to teach yourself. Everybody teaches themselves when they go play, but you're doing it silently in your head, but just speaking it to people and learning it through your voice it like makes you better instantly. And that's something I've learned drastically from Zoe is just
learning while teaching.
Yeah. Just you learn so much. You get better, not even by playing, just by describing it. You find new ways of describing it that like make sense in your mind, and you take that out to the course and you're like, whoa, I can get it. Like I got a little extra pop now. Yeah. And, it's like, so I think it's rapidly increased our game, even though we're not like out there on the course training and grinding and trying to get better and better. Just watching the kids feeling that good feeling that you're doing something awesome. They look up to you. They want autographs or minis or anything, and it makes it all worth it. You feel really good at the end of the day.
That's cool. I love it.
I feel really drained at the end of the day too.
Oh, I
Yes.
bet. I
Completely
bet.
drained.
Yeah.
but
So you
100
said now
little
last year was kind of the first year really kicking off. So where does someone go to find out more of what you're doing? Is Facebook, website? What do we got?
Okay, so it was the pilot year in 2017. So we have a Facebook page listed under Disc Golf Universal Play. And then the website currently is being built. The goal is to have it done by December 20th, but you can go to, I believe it's dguplay.com, and it'll reroute you to the .org because it's a nonprofit. And right now you might see a little clock ticking saying, be patient with us,
Right.
we're coming. But look for that little boy and that little girl logo sitting on top of the basket with it's like a Hyzer and a Hyzer backhand sidearm shot coming in, or just 2 discs coming in, I guess. And don't name the shot, but look for that little logo. And then in the future, especially with the artists here and things like that, whatever Disc Golf Universal Play turns into, it's always going to have something with children or a boy and a girl and a basket and the world, because we really want this information to go worldwide, or as far as it can. As far as reaching out to me personally on Facebook, or you can find my contact information in a lot of places online. And because it's in the pilot stages, I'm kind of doing a lot of it just through my private email until we have it all flipped over to the Zoe at dguplay.com. But it's really AnDyke Zoe at Gmail right now. So people reach out to me. They ask for advice. They ask for how they can bring us into schools, or if they're across the country, what they can do. And I never mind helping with just some of the basic coaching without giving away the whole curriculum, because I don't want people to just wait for me. I want disc golf being taught.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Let's hop back into a few more questions here. This one comes from Anonymous. Maybe they're ashamed of what they're going to ask. I don't know. Anyway, hey guys, hope all is well. The reason for here he's going to explain it. The reason for being anonymous is because I don't want to sound like, quote, I got air quotes going, that guy. So here's my question problem. I can throw my defenders around 450 to 500 feet, and I am a pretty good putter, but I can't throw a 150-foot upshot to save my life. And I think that will get me over my plateau. I can throw my pure dead straight, but I can't throw the right hand backhand touch hyzer, and it costs me strokes. Even holes that are sub 300 feet that have a ever so slight hyzer line give me trouble. What do you all recommend? Just more field work or what?
Yeah, I put your defender away.
Oh,
Yes.
Don't even go to the course with it in your bag. I kind of started in the same way. I just started learning. I could throw far, and I just wanted to throw far.
Right.
Just throw far, but you didn't know how to golf yet. So I would just take like 8 or 9 putters, or maybe 1 mid-range. But I prefer putters as a good training tool for your angles. And just go to the course and play the entire round with putters. Throw different angles, throw different shots, and try to shoot par or under. And once you can get to the level of you're trusting your putter angle on, or you can maybe squeeze a putter up to 330, you're just going to be so much more comfortable putting any disc in your hand and throwing that shot if you can just trust the angles of release. And I kind of did the same thing. Just get rid of the drivers in your bag. Go train with slow speed discs that show you your angles. And just if that's your weakness, that's the only thing you should be practicing.
Working on.
You don't need to, if you can throw 450, 500 with a defender, you don't need to go practice that.
Yeah.
That's like, you already have that shot.
Yeah.
So if you're really struggling on a 300-foot hyzer, you should be at a turf if you're doing field work or in a field only throwing 300-foot hyzers. Don't go and throw every shot in the bag when you're practicing. Just go practice for 20 minutes, but only throw that one shot you're really trying to work on.
Yeah, and I want to agree with Dustin and just kind of take it a step further with throwing slow speed discs. That's the number one thing after I've taught someone how to play disc golf and they have just their basic drive and their basic putt. Then I ask them to kind of strip their bag down and only throw putters.
Mm-hmm.
Try to drive putters. Again, flat and straight. And then put it up in the air with a little bit of tilt towards the body for an Hyzer angle. Okay, then tilt it towards the ground away from your body, starting low, throwing high for the Hyzer angle. And you don't want to throw just the same putters that you're putting with. Get your zero stability ones. Get one or two more stable ones. So I'm gonna just give an example. And this isn't a putter. I throw a Suspect on a Hyzer line. This is the exact disc I want to recommend to you, Anonymous. The Suspect is your ticket to brainlessly throwing that Hyzer. If you rip or throw very hard, rip a Suspect, flat and straight, it will finish for you. If you give it Hyzer, then you get that awesome dramatic angle. And the more and more you throw the Suspect, you're going to see like a really slight Hyzer to a really dramatic Hyzer, but you're not going to see much else. So that would be your Hyzer angle shot. Then throw maybe your putting putter, or I would say a deputy, or even a dagger. Throw it up in the air flat and straight. Throw it up in the air with just a little bit of tilt, and you will create those other two lines. Don't touch anything else. I don't throw a lot of mid-ranges. I know how, but my goal is to only, on the course, usually ever touch a driver and then a putter. If I have to revert to a mid, it's probably one of my trick shots or get out of trouble shots, or it's a shorter hole, so I'm driving a mid off the tee. But really, the whole game of control and upshots comes from throwing putters.
Excellent. Next one is from Stick. Hey guys, I've been in a debate with myself and others about what exactly a Hyzer flip is. I think it is when you release your disc on a Hyzer and it flips to flat. Sorry if this has been answered before, but I just started listening and have gone through all the old podcasts. Or haven't gone through all the old podcasts. Well, Stick, what are you doing? You need to binge. You need to pick a Saturday, grab some popcorn and some pizza, yes, and binge. Listen to some disc golf management. No, so so that is kind of a thing with disc golf. It seems to be is that there's certain jargon that even changes between regions. I mean, I know that the debate is whenever someone asks about stability. I mean, some people think when someone says stable, they mean it's going to turn hard to the left, but some people say stable means it's stable. It's not doing anything but going straight, more of a neutral flight. So there is some kind of confusion sometimes when it comes to words that are in disc golf. So how would you guys describe a Hyzer flip?
You want me to? You go ahead.
A Hyzer flip is exactly that. It's a dramatic Hyzer angle with an understable disc that's going to flip to flat. Say you have a staggered tree gap. I wouldn't ever really throw a Hyzer flip
in open air.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not the most accurate shot. There's a lot of factors that go along with flipping it, and you have like a certain distance before it flips. Certain speeds flip quicker than others. So I would stick to your Hyzer flips strictly in the woods or in gaps, and just trust a kind of a knife Hyzer angle on release with a pretty understable disc, and it should flip up to flat within 100 feet of release.
That also takes your absolute max power too. A lot of times people think they're throwing a Hyzer flip or are trying and not getting the result, getting it up to the flat, but they're worried about the disc doing the work for them. With that understable disc, you're doing the work. You're putting the snap on it or the stank on it, the rip on it. It takes everything. You're putting just as much into that drive as you're putting into your full power distance drive in the open field. That's how you get the result. Yeah.
Nice. And just real quick for you, Stick, and for the listeners, the YouTube channel that we have that I'm very excited about, and it's basically called DGAM Clips. And what it is we've taken old episodes and we've breaking them up into just the question. So they're anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 3 to 4 minute long video clips, but it's only the question. So if you want to kind of catch up with some old disc golf man, but in like small chunks, go out on YouTube and search for DGAM Clips, and you'll find that out there. All right, next one is from, here we go. This one's from John. I was in Albuquerque visiting family and played a course called Brent Baca. It's essentially a tree-starved desert area that they put a course in. It has items in front of the tee pad to force you to throw other places. It has wooden posts in a few places around island holes. It even has metal boxes Wait, it even has metal box frames to shoot around. Wow.
Oh.
All these are taboo in the grand scheme of disc golf, but I had so much fun on a challenging course. I know you're not a fan of the putt-putt antics, but how do you feel when it is truly needed? So he's probably referring to us because obviously we've mentioned that we don't like these putt-putt styles, but what are your guys' thoughts on these, quote, again, I'm using the air quotes, gimmicky style courses?
Everything has a place and a purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to say that, because I'll certainly enjoy playing those courses once in a while. Now, once in a while, keywords, I've got my home training course, Mile of McIver, I've got a field, and then I've got the tour, so I'm lucky enough to be able to play everywhere. If you don't have that, and if you're in your hometown or if you're stuck in one place with a gimmicky course, remember to have a lot of fun with it. That gimmicky course factor is creating more shots and more tools, quote unquote, air quotes, in your bag. I don't have a problem with it because I feel like my bag has more options than most because I know how to play gimmicky courses.
I completely agree. We design putting leagues around Oregon where we put like hoops and walls and putt over backhoes and through forklifts, and it's like you learn so many different angles by doing that.
We have so many people say,
Yeah.
I learned that at Putting League, and it is a tricky little
Mhm.
gimmicky course. And so those are great things to have. Not all the time as a constant, for
Yeah.
sure, but
I wouldn't want to play a tournament at that course, but
Right,
you're
no.
not hurting your game by playing
No.
these courses. Like, you can't learn enough angles.
Yeah.
But don't
They're-
take yourself, again, remember that you're not the world champion that day of that gimmicky course. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun with it. Or when I say have fun with it, let it be intriguing and exciting. Do not let gimmicky shots take you down.
So let me clarify, since he's probably picking on, well, he's not picking on, but he mentioning that we say things about putt-putt course. And I totally agree with Zoe. There's a place for it. If that's what you have available to you, if it's like a 15-minute drive and you have to drive 2 hours to get to a, quote, legit course, well, maybe that's a bad word because I don't want to say that that's not a legit course, but I think you get what I'm saying.
We'll
If
say
that's
golf
what,
appropriate.
there you go.
Yeah.
If that's your course and that's how you learn to play and that's where you go to have fun, man, more power to you. But I'm not going to want to tune into on YouTube Disc Golf Pro Tour and that be the course.
No.
I don't think the pros want to compete on that type of course. But again, if that's where you go to enjoy your disc golf, man, more power to you.
And you know what I think professional disc golf is? It's driving far. It's making a lot more percentage putts, but it is really truly having infinite shots in your bag and
good
then
point.
executing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good point.
Pros don't get bogeys. So
Right.
the most angles you can learn, like the most shots you can learn, the better off you are going to be at a more
event,
gold
yeah.
level course where you have to scramble, you have to grind.
Right.
Not everything is a birdie course anymore, and so like you have to learn everything. So I honestly like those little putt-putt courses just for training those random skills, even though it's not somewhere I want to go play a tournament.
Right. Okay, so
Yeah.
I know you guys are new to the dynamic disc family, so there's that transition of going from the discs you used to throw to the new discs. But I know that we did some filming yesterday, and I noticed you guys were kind of favoring certain discs, and that's what we have right in front of you guys. So, Zoe, you were talking about you really are liking the Suspect. So tell us a little bit. Now, you kind of did in one of your answers to a question, but tell us a little bit more of why you're thinking the Suspect is going to be in your bag.
Okay, well, from the very beginning, I have been a Hyzer thrower. That's my strength, and all day long, if I can't get something to work on the course, I'm just reverting back to throwing a Hyzer. And the Suspect, it's the do it for me or let me dramatically show what you can do Hyzer disc. And I trust it so much, from a short little pitch Hyzer all the way back to me throwing at max power as far as I can, even in the wind or not wind. Because yesterday we did have some wind and it was open air. But the Suspect it's a trusty disc, and it's a shot that is my core dominant shot. It's not a max distance, but I can certainly do so many things with it with 100% trust. And that's what I need in my new discs, is like, oh, I know what this is doing and I'm throwing it right now just like that.
Nice. Well, now the Suspect is one of the very first discs we had come out. So I think sometimes in the awe of newness and the excitement for all the new stuff, I think sometimes the Suspect gets forgotten about. But it is a excellent disc for just about any level of player. I know some pros that throw it. I throw it for certain shots, and again, I love it because for me, my shots with the Suspect is an approach shot, and if I make a mistake, if I throw it a little too hard, I know that Suspect is going to come back, and it's not going to make me pay by not being so far away from the basket. So I really love it for that. Now, Dustin, you have with you a Defender. Tell us what you're liking about the Defender.
The Defender is an amazing distance driver. I feel like it's probably the farthest throwing driver I've ever thrown.
Wow.
Personally.
Yeah.
And it has a little more glide than I'm used to, but it has a very consistent fade back at the end. And in certain plastics, I'm still messing around. I found some really meat hook ones, and I found some ones that stand up a little bit more, but it has a really comfortable feel in my hand, and it has a nice smooth release, and I'm just really loving it right now for purely max distance. Sidearm, my sidearm's not my strength, but I don't have a bad one, but it gives me a little bit extra distance on my sidearm with the amount of glide it has. And so far, it's my go-to distance driver.
Now, what level of player would you say would need to pick up a Defender?
I would say a higher advanced, someone with more of an arm speed. If you're pushing 400 feet, 350, and you really need a faster distance driver, I would never start somebody on a Defender. You got to work your way up to it. But once you're there, you probably won't go back.
All right. So in my mind yesterday, but I'm not sure when these episodes go out. In a past episode, when we were with Tina and Eric, we had them think of a code word. So we know that people listen to the episode to win these discs. So we're going to do the same thing with these because we're super excited to have you guys in the family, and we want people to know what you throw and be associated with what you throw. So anyway, Zoe, what we'll do is like we do normally to our listeners, you got to go to discgolfanswerman.com/subscriber. You'll see a link for Zoe's Suspect. Click on that link and you'll go to and fill out just a little, answer a few questions, and then put the code word
SMASH.
SMASH. Okay, let me write that down. SMASH for Zoe. And then Dustin, what's your code word? Or like we say, the password is
Blast.
Blast?
Yeah.
I wanted one of the other. Yeah. One of the other.
All right, so we got Smash and Blast. All right, so what I'll do is, again, these are going to be out. I'll give it 5 days for each of these. So when you listen to this, when this comes out, make sure you look at the date. And if it's within the 5 days of this release date for this episode, get in there, answer a few of those questions, and then put in the code words SMASH for the Suspect and Blast for Dustin's Defender. All right, let's get a couple more questions in before we end this. You guys got time?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and this one's from Danny. Sup, guys? I really appreciate the podcast. My question has to do with backhand grips. I tend to only have two grips, a power grip and a widespread grip for putting. It's affecting my touch because I feel I don't have the appropriate grip for essentially anything but drives and putts. How many different grips do you use? My struggle mostly comes from longer intermediate fairway and mid-range shots with the small rim discs. Let me know your thoughts and some tips.
I want to start on this one.
Yeah, go for
because you do have more different grips than I do. I want to relate with you, friend. I have a putter grip and a full-blown power grip as well. It's really rare that I use a fan grip, so rest assured that this is going to be just fine. And then let me tell you why. You and I and everyone throws hundreds and thousands of reps of our best distance drive ever. Well, then you disc down to go a shorter distance, and then you disc down again and hopefully throw putters. So doesn't it make more sense to continue throwing with your same grip, same rip power, and just change the speed and stability of your discs, because you've done it so many millions of times or thousands of times at this point, that my personal belief is I don't want to like try to take some off of it or throw it 50%. I want to disc down and continue to throw the rip flat straight shot that I've thrown millions of times. So I think a power grip is actually probably dominantly what I use most of the time. Even with my controlled fairway drivers, it is rare that I take my pinky out. And I know we travel with Paige Pearson. I know she uses a fan grip tons of times, but her and I's games in the middle of the fairway, you know, whether it's the second or the up shot, second shot, third shot on a par 5, we're getting up there relatively the same with different grips. So there's not a right or a wrong way, and I like to just maintain my comfortability and go with what I know. So
Yes. I throw pretty much power grip for every driver rim. Kind of a modified power based on my hand size. I can't curl all my fingers around of it because my fingers are a little bigger than Zoe's, and so I stack them a little bit modified power grip. Kind of my middle and my ring finger are really tucked in, and then my index and my pinky are flat pads on the rim. And I throw most of my drivers with that. I'll throw every mid-range and every putter with a fan grip. It just feels natural, feels comfortable. That's the first way I ever learned how to grab it. I've never been able to throw a mid-range with a power grip. It just doesn't come out of
it's
my
awkward.
hand. Yeah, it just doesn't come out of my hand cleanly. And, you know, everybody's hand's a little different size. So like Zoe said, if you're a power grip thrower, I know a bunch of top pros that don't have a fan grip. It's not a huge deal, but if you're, and then I've known like Ken Climo used to throw drivers with a fan grip. It's all the matter, like how your hand fits the disc. Find your most comfortable grip. It's going to give you the most confidence when you throw. But I say try a fan grip for putters and mid ranges. It's a quicker release, so you're gonna release the disc faster. Your hand opens quicker, and it might let you hit your lines a little bit more accurately, but it's not a necessity, if that's the proper way to put it.
Yeah.
Let your hand be comfortable.
Yeah. Comfort's the most important part. So like grip is a little bit overlooked. I think it's more important on putting than say driving. As long as you have a firm grip. Like my fan grip, sure, I'm not have all my pads on the rim, but I'm gripping it really hard, just like I would a
Yeah, it has to be
power
a
grip.
firm, tight grip always.
Excellent. All right, one last question, and I'm going to ask you guys because I read it while you guys are answering. Sorry, but I'm going to keep this question because I want to get Eric and Robert's opinion as well on this, and I want to share my opinion. But I want to know yours. So Brad asked, one of the most important things to me about disc golf is that they are free to play. I've never paid to play disc golf and would have a hard time justifying doing so. What are your feelings on pay to play?
Oh, I love them. I also love the free aspect. Everybody loves free. But pay to play signifies one really important thing to me. Oh, somebody is working and being paid to take care of and maintain this course.
Yeah.
I will enjoy mowed greens or bark chips or maintained tee pads. Sometimes, I mean, you have to think about how most free courses, there is absolutely no park ranger or state employee or anybody taking care of that disc golf course. So that makes a ton of sense. It also is one of the most appealing things about disc golf. But when you are paying to play, man, it's like you're stepping onto one of the nicer and a little more elite courses. And maybe it doesn't have better design or better holes to offer. That'd be really unfortunate as far as the design of the course. But if you're paying to play, it signifies to me that the course it's a little more upscale. It's nicer, and chances are the design is much better, more golf.
Yes, I completely agree. I have a background in ball golf, so you had to pay no matter what. You don't get to go play for free, and that was a big attraction for me learning disc golf, you're like, oh, I could go to the course and practice all I want, and it's just costs what I pay for the disc, and it's awesome until you go play those pay-to-play courses, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is another level. This is the future. We're kind of paying back into our sport. This is the growth. Like, sure, you don't have to play them all the time. You don't have to go to the pay-to-play there's always will be a free little 9-hole park or an 18-hole course in your local town. But
I think it goes
Yeah.
back to, hey, Dustin, do you like disc golf?
yes,
Would you go play for free with me?
yes, of course.
Okay. Hey, Dustin, tomorrow and the next day and the next day and then like 5 days later, do you like disc golf?
Yes.
You want to try a new course with me?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay, well, since I really like doing this, would you mind investing $5 or $11 or something with me?
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
All right, that's because I love it or I like what I'm doing.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to keep it real.
Okay.
There are, yes, the free or, for the lack of a better term for this, cheap thing about disc golf is that it's a low cost of entry. We all love that. But there are very few things that are free in this life.
Exactly.
So let's break this down. You're going to tell me, yes, I can go to, like here in Emporia, we have Jones West, Jones East, beautiful courses, free to play.
Mhm.
They're not free. Someone has to maintain that. Someone from the parks department has to maintain that. Who pays for that? Our tax dollars pay for that. It's not free. When you have a course in some place that closes, you're thinking, oh my God, there's free courses closing out. Well, the reason is because the town, the state, the whatever said, there's not enough to justify the upkeep of this course. Now we need to put a dog park or a walk place because we know that will bring in more tax dollars.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but that free is not necessarily free. So if you want that beautiful, manicured, dedicated disc golf course, that's where pay to play comes in.
Yes.
That's the way I look at it, is that if you don't want to play in a pay to play, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a place where you know you're going to go and those greens are going to be real nice, the baskets are going to be nice new baskets. Maybe there's going to be a pro shop with a restaurant or something in there.
Yeah, you're probably not going to have a dog run across your fairway.
Exactly.
Right?
Or you're not going to have a fear of your
Yeah.
disc throwing into somebody's picnic that's going on.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
nice to have a designated area
Exactly.
for disc golf.
And in order to do that, you got to pay to play. So Brad, I'm not picking on you because you say you have a hard time justifying. I hope that what we've said, though, might help you understand there is a justification to pay $5, $7, $10, $15, depending on the upkeep of the course.
That was the other thing I was
yeah.
going to say. At least, in ball golf, we're looking at minimal hundreds and usually thousands if you want to be part of the elite clubs and courses, and it gets really expensive. We're talking about some upkeep. We're talking about under $20. I've never paid more than $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it costs the same as going to a movie. Like,
Yeah.
And so
It's
it's
not that
how
bad.
serious are you about your fun?
There you go.
Exactly.
And maybe I'll make a few people mad, but I can't wait until there is that level where you go pay $50 to play around a disc golf,
Yeah.
because
I
when you
totally
walk
agree.
in, it's going to be like elite. It's
Yeah.
going to look like a super nice ball golf course. And again, if that's not your thing, sure, no biggie. But if the demand is there and people are willing to pay, I can't wait for that day to come.
I agree. Yeah, you get treated. You get a cart. Sure, you'll have a clubhouse. Like,
Yeah.
people are out there to serve you as the customer. You're playing. You paid to be there. They all recognize that you're there. They're supporting that you're there. At free courses, you don't get that. You get neighbors yelling at
Right.
you. Or
Yeah, it's
people-
legitimacy
yeah,
and
it's-
professionalism
Exactly.
being brought to the
Exactly.
game of disc golf.
Completely.
All right, guys. Well, I had an amazing time. I hope you guys had fun on the show. I think it's really cool. Love to hear your insights on it, and I know our listeners are very thankful. So, guys, you're going to see a lot more from Dustin and Zoe. We're going to be behind them 100%, helping them with their vision for growing disc golf, getting more disc golf into these kids' hands and stuff like that. I think it's amazing. It's all kind of in its infancy right now, so
It is.
it may be a little while before you really start seeing stuff. But just pay attention to our YouTube channel, to social media, Instagram, all that. you'll start seeing a little bit more of Dustin and Zoe and get to learn more about what they do and stuff like that. So I am very excited. Anything else you want to make sure people know and what's going on for 2018 and beyond?
Most definitely. I got to give a huge thank you and a big shout out to Dynamic Discs right now. The reason, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there wondering why the switch, and I don't need to get too into that, but I just want to say thank you for the support and the belief in our mission and in our personal game. My professional mission is to grow. If I could reach infinity, that's a great number to reach, huh? If I could reach that many children, great. That's my life's mission. But thank you, DD, for supporting me in that and for believing in me and for providing new platforms for me to get there.
Absolutely.
Completely agree. DD reached out and has been supporting us even though we haven't been on their team for a while. And it feels good to have people that believe in you and want to see you succeed. And can't be more excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I challenged you guys on the episode with Eric and Tina, and I want to challenge you again with Dustin and Zoe. If you ever see them out doing a clinic, I want you to attend that clinic and go up and shake their hand and tell them thank you for what they do. If they have a product table out there, that is how they support what they do. So anytime you see them selling a product, buy a disc, buy whatever a mini or something that they're selling, because that is a way of supporting and saying thank you for doing what you do and the love of disc golf that you're spreading. So I challenge that to our listeners for sure, as if for next year and the years to come, that if you agree with what they're doing and you want to help them continue to do what they do, buy a disc or two or something, buy 5, buy 10, whatever you need to buy to help them understand that you are loving what they do.
I'll sell you 100.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for being on the show. And we've got some other things we got to do. So we're going to end it right here. And we hope you guys have a Be Dynamic day. That was corny. I'm sorry. Bye.
Thank you, Bobby.
Bye.